The Dutton family has endured unspeakable adversity, but nothing has put them to the ultimate test like what lies next. The fight for their land, legacy, and life is disintegrating. With opponents coming from all sides, the family is on the brink of war and uncertain of their capacity to fight. Their captain, Jacob Dutton, is exhausted but resolute. He has seen violence, treachery, and loss, but he is determined to persevere. The center of the family, Kara Dutton, is steadfast in her efforts to keep the ranch in good condition. But even she is aware of the impending storm, which is unlike any other storm they have ever experienced. Not in a good way, Montana is undergoing change. Wealthy tycoons and power-hungry landowners are tightening their grip, using force, politics, and corruption to push out ranchers like the Duttons. The rules no longer apply to those with money and influence, and the Duttons are left to fend for themselves in a world that grows more ruthless by the day. Jacob has fought for years to defend his land, but now the fight isn't just about land, it's about survival. Every move they make is being watched. Every ally they have is a potential traitor, and every decision could be the one that finally breaks them. Others sense Jacob's weakness as he tries to keep control. The Duttons' enemies see an opportunity to strike. With Spencer gone, their strength has been tested, and the family has barely hung on. Bankers, ranchers, and those who see the Duttons as an obstacle to progress have been waiting for this moment. They aren't just planning to take the land, they want to destroy the Dutton name entirely. They feel vulnerable without Spencer, the family's most fearless protector, but they don't know that Spencer Dutton is returning home. After years away, fighting his own battles in faraway places, he is coming back to the one fight that matters most. Since leaving, Spencer has changed. He has seen battle, lost, and survived when death seemed inevitable. The Spencer Dutton who returns isn't just a brother or a son, he's a warrior, and he's not coming back to watch his family lose everything because the Duttons are struggling to hold on. But will it be sufficient? Can one man shift the tide of a war that has already begun? Or will his return bring even more chaos, pushing the family toward destruction? Time is running out. In a world where power is based on blood, the cost of survival may be more than the Duttons can afford. The Duttons require a savior. The moment Spencer Dutton steps back onto his family's land, the weight of everything he left behind crashes down on him. Even though the ranch is still standing, it has a different feel. The air is thick with tension, the kind that signals an inevitable battle. He can see it in Jacob's tired eyes, in Kara's silent strength, and in the way the ranch hands move, as though preparing for a fight they aren't sure they can win. Spencer has always been a fighter, but this isn't the battlefield he's used to. This war is not being fought with strategy and rifles. Rather, it is being fought with power, greed, and deception. His return isn't met with celebration, it's met with concern, suspicion, and even fear. Jacob, the man who once ruled with an iron will, looks at Spencer as both a blessing and a curse. He knows his nephew is powerful, but he also knows that power can be dangerous. Spencer isn't a rancher anymore, he's a soldier. Additionally, soldiers rarely think before they act. Kara watches him carefully. She has always been his biggest cheerleader, but even she can see that he is different from everyone else. He doesn't talk as much as he used to. It seems as though he is carrying ghosts with him, and his presence is heavier. She knows he came home to help, but she fears what that help might look like. The Duttons are in conflict, but this conflict requires more than just force. It needs strategy, patience, and careful moves. Spencer has never been one to wait. The enemies of the Dutton family waste no time in making their presence known. The moment word spreads that Spencer is back, the threats begin to escalate. Because of his reputation as a fearless fighter, some people fear him. Others see his return as an opportunity if they can take him down. It would send a message that the Duttons are no longer untouchable. Spencer, however, isn't easily intimidated. He is able to see through their tricks and will not play by their rules. But his presence alone isn't enough to turn the tide. The Duttons are still outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched. Spencer wants to act, but Jacob warns him that recklessness will only get them killed. Spencer listens, but the fire in his eyes remains. He didn't come home to wait for his enemies to make the first move. He came home to fight. And if his family won't strike first, then he will. The tension within the family grows. Jacob wants to hold the line, but Spencer is ready to break it. He refuses to sit back while men in suits and law offices try to take what isn't theirs. He knows what must be done, but will his family let him do it? The Duttons are strong, but Spencer's return may not be the salvation they hoped for. It might be the spark that ignites the war they can't escape. Montana has been shocked by Spencer's return, but rather than frightening the Duttons' enemies, it has only intensified their plans. Power-hungry landowners, ruthless businessmen, and corrupt politicians have been waiting for the right moment to strike, and now they see it. Spencer may be a warrior, but war isn't fought with weapons alone anymore. It's fought with legal documents, backroom deals, and deception. The Duttons have survived through sheer resilience. Enemies are, but they're playing a different game, one designed to choke them out without firing a single shot. Donald Whitfield, a powerful and cunning businessman who has already made it clear that he wants the Duttons to go, poses the greatest threat. He isn't just a man with money. He's a man who controls the system. He has bought judges, bank officers, and lawmen, ensuring that every move he makes is backed by power. His goal isn't to destroy the Duttons overnight. It's to squeeze them, to make survival so impossible that they'll be forced to surrender their land. And now, with Spencer back, he sees an opportunity to push them into making mistakes. Whitfield isn't alone. His influence has spread, bringing together a network of men who all have something to gain from the Duttons' downfall. Local ranchers who were once allies now hesitate, fearing what will happen if they side with Jacob's family. The banks, already hesitant to help struggling ranchers, begin tightening their grip, making it harder for the Duttons to keep their ranch running. Meanwhile, the law, something that should be on their side, begins working against them. Land disputes, new tax regulations, and legal loopholes are all being used as weapons, forcing the Duttons into a corner. But the threats aren't just legal or economic. The amount of violence is getting worse, and the first signs of war are already showing up. Ranch workers who are devoted to the Duttons begin to vanish, some fleeing out of fear, while others vanish without a trace. Their fences are being torn down at night, and their livestock is being taken. It's all designed to weaken them, to make them question whether fighting back is even worth it. Jacob sees what's happening, and though he is stubborn, he knows they may be running out of options. He tries to rally what few allies they have left, but the fear in their eyes is clear. A man like Whitfield makes no one want to compete with him. The Duttons are standing alone, and everyone knows it. Spencer, however, refuses to simply accept defeat. He watches as his family struggles under the weight of their enemies, and it fuels something inside him. He isn't a man who plays politics. He isn't a man who waits for permission to fight. He has been in wars where the odds were against him, and he knows that sometimes the only way to win is to strike first. However, this conflict is unique. It isn't fought in the open. It's fought in the shadows, where trust is a weakness and hesitation means death. The first direct attack comes without warning. A fire erupts in one of the barns late at night, destroying precious supplies and killing livestock. It isn't an accident. It's a message. The Duttons are being hunted, and their enemies want them to know it. Jacob, still clinging to the belief that they can win this war with strategy, urges caution. But Spencer sees it for what it is, a declaration of war. And he refuses to sit back while his family is picked apart piece by piece. The Duttons are on the brink, barely holding on as the forces against them close in. Their enemies are powerful, relentless, and determined to erase them from Montana's history. The question now is not whether the Duttons will win the war, but rather how. Spencer knows that brute force alone won't win this battle. Their enemies are too powerful, too embedded in the system to be defeated with a simple show of strength. But Spencer has learned that war isn't just about attacking, it's about strategy. It's about finding weaknesses and exploiting them. He studies Whitfield and his allies, searching for cracks in their armor. And soon, he finds them. One of Whitfield's biggest advantages is his control over the banks. He has leveraged financial power to cripple his enemies, but Spencer knows that every system has its flaws. Establishments turn their focus toward the Duttons, ensuring that every mortgage, each deal, and every financial lifeline is cut off. But Spencer isn't just a soldier, he's a survivor. He knows how to adapt and how to turn the enemy's weapons against them. Information is their best weapon in this situation. Spencer digs deep, uncovering illegal dealings, hidden transactions, and corruption that could bring Whitfield's empire to its knees. Armed with this knowledge, the Duttons make their first move. Kara, ever the sharp and calculating matriarch, begins spreading whispers among the city's elite. She exposes Whitfield's fraudulent dealings to key figures, people who may not openly aid the Duttons, but also don't want to be tied to a sinking ship. The cracks begin to show. Whitfield is strong, but even he can't control everything. When the first sign of weakness appears, others take notice. But Spencer isn't just focused on backroom politics. He is aware that their adversaries have used fear against them for far too long. It's time to reverse the roles. Spencer and a group of trustworthy ranch workers set out on a mission in the dark. They reclaim stolen livestock, sabotage enemy supply routes, and send a clear message: the Duttons will not be pushed out without a fight. Jacob, initially hesitant about Spencer's methods, begins to see the effects. Once paralyzed by fear, the town begins to change. Some ranchers who had distanced themselves from the Duttons begin reconsidering their positions. They see Spencer's strength, his refusal to back down, and it reminds them of the old Montana, the one where men stood their ground and didn't allow outsiders to dictate their fate. Whitfield, furious at the resistance, retaliates. His men increase their attacks, targeting the Duttons wherever they can. More land is burned, and innocent ranchers are caught in the crossfire. The town's law enforcement, many of whom are in Whitfield's pocket, look the other way, refusing to intervene. It's chaos, and for a moment it seems neither side will back down. However, Spencer only has one more card to play. He knows that Whitfield isn't invincible. Spencer has discovered that every man has something to lose. He sets his sights on the one thing Whitfield values above all else: his reputation. In a calculated move, Spencer and Kara work together to expose Whitfield's corruption to the public. Evidence of bribery, land fraud, and extortion is leaked to the press, creating a scandal that Whitfield can't ignore. As the walls close in on their enemy, the Duttons achieve their first real victory. But they know this war is far from over. Whitfield may be wounded, but he's not done. The struggle for their land, legacy, and survival has only just begun. Spencer's bold actions have shaken Whitfield's empire, but the fight is far from over. If anything, it has only made their enemies more desperate and ruthless. The Duttons may have exposed Whitfield's corruption, but men like him don't go down without a final, brutal attempt to reclaim power. Now, the battle is no longer fought in boardrooms or courtrooms. It has spilled out into the open, turning the Montana frontier into a battlefield. The first sign of escalation comes with a devastating attack. Just as the Duttons begin to sense a shift in their favor, Whitfield's men launch a brutal raid on the ranch under the cover of darkness. Gunmen storm the property, setting fires, cutting down fences, and shooting at anything that moves. The ranch hands, though outnumbered, fight back fiercely. Shots ring out across the land, and by the time the dust settles, the Duttons are left counting their dead. It's a gut-wrenching loss, a clear message from Whitfield that he won't go down without destroying everything in his path. Jacob is devastated. He has seen violence before, but this is different. This is a direct attack on his home, his family. The losses weigh heavily on him, and for the first time, there is doubt in his eyes. Can they really win this war, or has Whitfield already taken too much? As the war reaches its peak, the Duttons brace for the final battle. Their enemies have shown no mercy, and now neither will they. Determined to bring an end to the conflict once and for all, Spencer leads a group of men deep into enemy territory. In the end, only one side will stand victorious on the blood-stained land of Montana. The conflict is over, but the scars remain. The Dutton Ranch, once a symbol of stability and strength, now bears the wounds of war. Burned fences, shattered windows, and patches of blood-stained earth remind everyone of the cost of victory. The land has been saved, but at what price? Jacob walks through the remnants of the battlefield, his heart heavy. He has lived through violence before, but this was different, more personal. He lost friends and good men who stood by him to defend what was theirs. He knows their sacrifice won't be forgotten, but that doesn't make the pain any easier. For a moment, he wonders if all of this was worth it. Kara, ever the pillar of strength, refuses to let despair take hold. She organizes the remaining ranch hands, ensuring the ranch is restored as quickly as possible. The dead are buried with honor, their names etched in the hearts of those who survived. The Duttons have always faced challenges, and they will do so again. Spencer, however, is restless. The war may be over, but a fire still burns within him. He has been a man of action for a long time, fighting wars in other countries and running from ghosts he couldn't get rid of. However, there is now nowhere to run. He wonders if he belongs here, if he can truly settle down after everything he has done. He has a strong love for his family and the ranch, but he also feels the weight of what he has seen. Even though the Duttons won the war, they are still fighting for their legacy. The dust has barely settled as the reality sets in. Peace is a luxury the Duttons will never truly have. The lawmen, the politicians, the tycoons looking to carve up the West for their own benefit, they aren't done with the Duttons yet. Whitfield's demise serves as an invitation for additional vultures to circle, as he was only one of many people who saw the Dutton land as an opportunity. Jacob is prepared for the next phase because of his experience. He warns Spencer that the fight for the ranch will never end. It's a war that has been fought for generations, one that will continue long after they're gone. The Dutton name is a symbol of resistance, of defiance, and that makes them a target. After much reflection, Spencer finally knows where he belongs. He was a Dutton from birth, but he avoided it for too long. Now he embraces it. He isn't just here to fight battles. He's here to ensure that this family, this land, survives for the next generation. He stands beside Jacob, ready to carry the burden. As the sun sets over the Montana horizon, the Duttons gather for a quiet dinner, something that feels rare after so much bloodshed. There is sadness, uncertainty, and hope at the same time. They have survived yet again, and as long as there is a Dutton left to stand, their fight will never truly end. Because this land, this legacy, is in their blood, and no force on earth will ever take it from them. The approaching storm is weighing heavily on the dark Montana sky. But the real storm is already here, one that has been brewing for months, fueled by greed, revenge, and an unbreakable will to survive. The Duttons have endured loss, betrayal, and bloodshed, but now everything comes down to this, the final battle. Spencer, who has been battered by loss and war, knows what needs to be done. There's no turning back. Whitfield has shown his hand, leaving only one path forward, total victory or total destruction. With Jacob by his side, the ranch hands, and a few trusted allies, they prepare for the fight of their lives. Armed and ready, they wait for the enemy to make their move. And when they do, all hell breaks loose. Under the cover of darkness, Whitfield's men arrive in force, their torches lighting up the land they want to destroy. But this time, the Duttons are ready. As the war reaches its peak, the Duttons brace for the final battle. Their enemies have shown no mercy, and now neither will they. Spencer leads a group of men deep into enemy territory, determined to end this fight once and for all. In the end, only one side will stand victorious on the blood-stained land of Montana.